Lion, almost 66, retired naturalist field biologist. Although not totally retired, but retired as far as actually working in the field. But I'm actually writing a couple books, one on that, edible plants and medicinal plants of the world, and one on the natural history of this coastal region between San Francisco and Monterey Bay. Mm-hmm. And I also volunteer for many different kinds of organizations now dealing with wildlife, environment, and humans, and that kind of thing.
So how'd you get your name Lion?
Well, first it was a friend of mine in high school that gave it to me because I have a big hair mane, and then I have a flat nose like they do. Mm-hmm. And then several years later, I worked at a game reserve in Oregon, which I guess has kind of changed now, but back then had a lot of international animals. We had separated areas like Africa or Asian areas, and we had big cats and other carnivores, and I took care of the big cats, mostly lions. We had over 20 lions, and we had some that were actually the last ones caught in Africa, a few of them. 2 males and a female, and then we had cheetahs. The last ones were caught in Africa, and we actually had bred the cheetahs, and they bred, right? But yeah, we allowed them to breed and have young too, and so I took care of them, and hyenas and African wild dogs, and on and on. But my main thing was the cat thing, and a little of everybody. So I totally took that name back on. And lions are so amazingly spectacular, not just in the ways that people typically think, but as they're much like humans, and their social connections to each other is incredible. My last name is Baumgartner, and it's so like Baumgartner. A lot of people think like the pitcher, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was going, man, that guy must have got housed a lot when he was a kid because Bum in his name, right? Mm-hmm. And they did that to my name a lot too. Mm-hmm. Then I thought about the bums that actually people in those days, they called them bums. The poor people that lived along like the railroad tracks usually. Mm-hmm. And when I was a young teenager, I lived in that area, and I would go down to the tracks and hang out with the bums. And they were some of the coolest people I ever met in my life. They had so many interesting things to say. They had so much love. They never tried to do anything bad to me. They shared their food with me. They shared their lives with me. And it was an awesome thing. And that's the way it is with a lot of these people too. And you want me to tell you how I ended up in town?
Yeah.
So I was doing all that wilderness trekking, and I used to just come through Santa Cruz, and I never even went downtown. I just would be going to like Olympic Peninsulas or North Cascades or Oregon mountains or whatever. And so I just kind of traveled north or south, either way. I didn't really stop because I was just mostly doing wilderness trekking unless I met people that would invite me in or something. So I had a girlfriend that I was breaking up with, and I was on Vancouver Island with my brother, and so I wanted to come down here and finalize that, and I met another girl in town here. So I come into town, and man, this place is the coolest town I'd ever been in, and that was like, say, all that traveling I did, being in many different towns. So this took the cake for that. Mm-hmm. So then I met that other girl here and hooked up with her, so I ended up staying here.
How do you feel about Hero Camp or Ross Camp?
I think that it's an amazing place. It's a community that these people formed on their own. Mm-hmm. And sure, there's problems. There's problems in every community that's formed. But they have their freedom to express how they want to be, who they are. Mm-hmm. And I think what we need to do is make sure that we can support that in the best way possible for them and the community at large as well. Try to find ways to have solutions to where it can come together better with the outside community, and the outside can come better with this community, with the Ross community, mm-hmm. and have more options, more ways to facilitate that happening. More like services too, but not where they go down into the camp and invade people's space necessarily, unless people want them to come. But have staging areas up here where people come and put up notices about saying we'll be here with counselors for mental health or for other medical stuff, mm-hmm. physical medical stuff, counsel people for work, all the different kinds of services that people need help with. Have bring up like temporary running water things, and for washing and, washing clothes and washing dishes and washing bodies, showers, so people can go to work or try to get work and stuff like that.
Is Ross Camp like better than some of the other spots around, or like how do you interpret these other
highly
locations?
Variable, so it's hard for me to say personally.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm more of this is not really my style.
Yeah.
And I understand it's especially for a lot of people that can't do like I do out on my own. Mm-hmm. Like I was saying, the way I used to travel, sometimes with girlfriends or my brother or other friends, but often out in the wilderness on my own.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I do it now, just being kind of in the urban wilderness on my own.
Yeah.
Some people show up on and off. We've got some people around. I come in and out of town to do other things, and hang out with people on the mall. The mall is an incredible place. Yeah. I would suggest everybody should come out from our community and go down the mall more frequently and meet people from this camp and from many other places. And that's the other thing. Not everybody from this camp is from out of town. There's been a lot of that. That's bull. I've seen these people around here for years, known some of them for decades. Yeah. When I used to be at Phil Bodge, I used to come down here on my weekends to spend money in town, get food, and that's food places. I would go out dancing, the Catalyst a lot, other clubs, and just that kind of thing. Support the community, and in that way, financially, and just being here. Mm-hmm. And so that's a special thing, to have that. Mm-hmm. Well, they do have a couple other options for a smaller number of people, like that went over the benchlands, that were more willing to follow those kinds of rules theoretically. Yeah. Of course, now when they go there and realize how many rules they're having to follow, they might start to want to rebel against some of that. And I'm sure the design of it that's part of it, that that's going to happen. So trying to find some kind of middle area. Is my breath okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Find some kind of middle area, on that. And then so I think, some of that's going to be good. Because some of the people are tired of being here. They're ready to transition to something else. Mm-hmm. And so that's good for them, and it's good for the community at large. So I think that's a good stepping stone, but it was not done in the right way. Yeah. Obviously, with the federal court thing and everything, and not involving the community in Ross Camp as much as they should have either about how to do any of this. And this is a problem the city council has been doing overall, except for like Chris Crone, Drew Glover, and Sandy Brown. And Cynthia Matthews did show up at the meeting in Depot Park, but she never even said anything. She just said she was going to listen. Mm-hmm. But so I like what I call like Drew is Action Drew, where he actually wants to do things, for all sides. Mm-hmm. And Chris and Sandy are behind him too, and Justin, like we were saying, kind of in between. So listen to what those guys have to say, because they have positive solution and directions about what to do, whereas the other ones just kind of just naysay everything and don't really have any good suggestions that I've heard. They're just kind of grumpy and naysay everything, and just treat these people. I think they kind of treat these people like they're just trash. And there's the whole gamut of people here, just like there is out in the regular community. You could say all the same things, or even worse, about the people out there. It's like 11 o'clock or something, and there was like guys walking around with guitars and singing, and then there was the guy that does the rap down on the mall. He has his boombox thing set up over here, and he was doing that. It was just, people hanging out over here by the light, doing things. And this other guy, Kelly, walked up with a bunch of liquids for people, like sodas and milks. And so there's that thing, the people within the community show up from here and go to the stores, and they bring back stuff that they share with other people in the community, and even people they might not even get along with that well. They didn't really say it was only for the people that he knew, that he was friends with. Everybody was welcome to share. Mm-hmm. So this kind of thing. The more that we can ally with everyone, the more they're going to see the need to want to protect the rest of the community as well. And the more that they see they're not rejected and loved, because that's a big part of the issue is rejection. A lot of these people rejected, you know, from their families, from the last place they lived, or from this town that they live, you know, this kind of thing. So come and show that you're not rejecting them. Come and show, open your heart and your arms and say, you know, we want to share and help and be part of this world and have you be part of our world. Division is not going to help anyone, and people that are hating and naysaying, it's just going to bring them down too.
Why do you think it is that the city hasn't provided essential services to the people at Ross Camp?
Because they want this place squelched. They don't want it to exist. It was an unsanctioned camp. And then they're getting a lot of flack from the outside, which I understand, you know, a lot of the community is upset. But you can't just treat the people like criminals, and you have to have somewhere, you know, I read in the paper about somebody saying about enablers, you know, well, whatever you're gonna do, you know, you're just gonna throw them out into this area and just say, okay, die then, you know? It's like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. So what do you think it is that the city should look to do long term for the houseless people at Ross Camp?
So just kind of basic things that you would need in any kind of village or camp, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, there's solutions. We can solve these problems.
Yeah.
And you know, if it's going to be more like a long-term transitional camp, then of course you could add bathrooms, you know, running water, solar panels, on and on and on.
Yeah.
You know, modular houses, you know.
What are things that housed people in Santa Cruz should know about Ross Camp, and what can or what should they do to help?
Well, the first thing is to stop the hate. We can't be hating. We can't be dividing. These are humans. They're all part of the human family. So the first thing is to open one's heart and realize that, you know, just like anyone could need help. These people may or may not need help, but most of them need some kind of help. So step up and give a hand, you know, instead of turning your backs on people. You know, even if it's only a half an hour a week or something, show up, meet people, talk to people, say, I love you, hello, you know, have a good day, what can I do for you? Or just come and do a smile and walk away, you know, just the most minimal, give a prayer, but even beyond that, come up and see what you can do more if you have the courage, and people like myself will bring you in, you know. I brought people in, they said it was amazing when they actually did it.